Did I scare you? Yeah, this is a guide on 1x4, but to actually do that, I'll have to explain to you beforehand where he actually came from. You see, the story behind 1x4 is actually pretty simple. Shadetsky, the first ever admin of Roblox, made this account to test out exploits. Kind of just like a test account, you know? But the thing is, the account grew in popularity and started becoming well known as a hacker, as some people started like pretending to be 1x4 in some games, and like, I'm sure you kind of like get the idea here by now, right? So let's just like actually get to the tutorial before this starts turning into a drag. Hello. Well, starting off with the bare bone basics, of course. Some common mistakes that you run into. The biggest one of them is missing your shots very frequently, which is completely understandable since, you know, you're probably just starting out on the character and you wanted to watch a video to, you know, help. And to that, I tell you, it's completely fine to miss your projectiles. I mean, sure, your kit is mostly projectile based, but, you know, you still have your M1, you have your clones, and you have Unstable Eye, which is really good for keeping chases up, but I'll keep that for the Unstable Eye section of the video. Another very, very, very common mistake you'll run into, which is applied for actually every killer in the game, overcommitting to a survivor that you can't catch. Or overcommitting to one survivor and you catch them like even after that, it's just not worth it. Do not overcommit to a survivor. If you feel like you're wasting your time, then immediately switch targets, otherwise it's not worth it. As commonly known, the M1 is your main attack. Of course, it's your main move. I mean, it's your basic attack. And, well, you use Rejuvenate the Dead, usually on endgame, so that, you know, if the survivor starts to run anywhere in the map, considering you killed people in different places of the map, you pretty much have a clone everywhere you want. So this is actually really good, especially on full servers as well, because you just managed to flood the gates with your clones, and that rocks. Next, for aiming, of course, you actually have to know a little bit about predicting where the opponent, well, not really the opponent, but the survivor is gonna move, because if you don't, then you're kind of screwing yourself over. But it is very dependent on the survivor. If he is very skilled, and if you are in his line of sight, then they will easily predict where your projectile is going, and that can be rather annoying. That I say, if you're facing a good survivor and they're heading one direction, expect them to go the other one when they're running, and if a survivor that is not pretty much a tryhard is going in one direction, just try to aim your projectile at least a little bit ahead of them, so that they can't really run off of it, you know? Like, they can't really just walk it off, like the good players do. Unstable Eye is a very reliable tool for tracking down survivors, and also for pretty much guaranteeing most of the time, entanglement. Entanglement is also one of your abilities, which I'll get onto that on the next part. But yeah, outside of tracking down survivors, it's actually really good for just overall keeping chases going, because as much as it does give you blindness, then again it gives you highlights, which is your main highlights tool as a matter of fact, and it also gives you speed, which when I first started playing, I thought that this was only a way for me to see the survivors, and I just didn't even realize that this speed stat was literally right there, so I just kind of felt like an idiot. Make sure you use Unstable Eye pretty much usually on the start of the match, just to make sure that if you do see anyone doing a generator, you will hit them with entanglement, and if they're kind of slow with it, and if they don't have an auto clicker, which is pretty annoying because a lot of people do have it, then you can probably hit mass infection on it as well. So yeah, guaranteeing two of your greatest abilities, and actually two of your most important abilities as a matter of fact, just because of one. And to use it on chases, then usually after you hit probably like one of your projectiles, or at least one and one, you should probably use Unstable Eye to actually keep up with them, Maybe when you're like half stamina left, maybe like 3/4 of your stamina left, you can probably use Unstable Light to catch up to them very easily, or just almost guarantee the kill. Ah yes, the key components of your toolkit. What makes 1x4 1x4? The projectiles. Entanglement is actually one of your actually a lot more important, I'd say, than Mass Infection. Because Mass Infection is mostly just a damage dealer, while Entanglement is effectively a stun, but also a damage dealer. Remember? Passive, you can deal glitched, and I'm pretty sure you can also deal poison, to my understanding. Or at least to my memory. That means, you know, you can pretty much drag away Survivor's health by just hitting one ability, or 1-on-1. And that is actually pretty good. For you to actually aim properly, your abilities and stuff, I would say you learn that over time. But I did say there, pretty near to the beginning there, I think on the previous part, you just gotta it just really depends on how good the player is. If the player is very, very good, then it is gonna be very, very hard to hit Mass Infection. Entanglement is slightly easier to hit, but they both have their uses and their ways of which situation they could be better to hit. For example, Entanglement is usually better to hit unsuspecting players. Well, so is Mass Infection, but Entanglement is actually a lot more useful than Mass Infection on that use. Entanglement pretty much makes sure that the survivor that you just hit with it is locked into place. And by getting locked into place, you manage to get at least 1 or 2-in-1s by the time you catch up. Or if you don't have stamina, then you just use Mass Infection most of the time. But then again, Unstable Eye right there, so yeah. Okay, this is the part where it gets interesting. I'm gonna teach you some stuff on how to counter specific survivors, and how to pretty much deal overall with some specific maps and stuff like that. For example, some knowledge that you probably didn't know about some maps and stuff like that. On glass houses, I'll probably be trying to show an image of the map in the video if I find one, or just find a good clip of this happening. But basically, you can actually snipe people from, you know that one place you can drop off at, which is near the monster spawn. Actually, right now, it's inside of the monster spawn. But basically, there's those little stairs you can go up, and the place where you can just kind of drop yourself off. And also, it's a pretty good looping spot for the killer. You know, you can loop the killer very easily there. Now you know that other hill. You know, the one near the trees and the rocks and stuff there, that has the little dirt stairs leading up to it. Sometimes there's a generator up there, there's 2 walls and a place where you can fall off of. If you just go up the stairs, look to the right, that is pretty much the exact angle you need to hit someone off of the place that people can camp on to the monster spawn. You can snipe people from literally across the map. Also, this isn't really the only map you can do this, by the way, of course. You know, ranged abilities. You have as much range as you want to, I think, with 1x4. The issue is actually getting a good angle on it, and you know, the right height, the right elevation. For you to deal with survivors that have stuns, Shadletsky, first off, basically, you just step away whenever you feel like he's gonna try to turn back and attack you with the sword. Same thing for Chance, except that Chance usually does it when he has enough distance. Also, unlike Shadletsky, with Chance you actually need to sidestep his shot instead of just backstepping, you know, just taking a step back for a moment, or just literally standing still, because you know the Shadletsky's probably expecting you to run into him. So yeah. Also, we'll always watch your back against Shadletsky, because you know Shadletsky can always just run up behind you and just stun you if he wants to. Same for Chance, to be honest. Except that the issue with Chance is that, you know, since his gun is very, very ranged, then you can't really know where it's coming from unless you see him. And now for Guest. Guest, if you feel like you just landed in M1, or if you feel like he's about to turn around, just don't do anything. Let him waste his block and then attack again. Or, you know, since you're playing 1x4, entanglement to his face. Point blank entanglement. Because it's usually the best option when they miss block. Considering 2-time is also going to be getting a rework soon. And to my understanding, what they wrote there, well, as much as they will change it, to my understanding that's about what they're going to do. So 2-time might be able to stun the killer. So here's just a little tip here for 2-time as well. You know, now that he's gonna technically have to earn his second life, kill him before he manages to do so. Like, yeah. And also pretty much the same strategy for Shaleski, to be honest, considering it's a dagger, it's probably gonna be even shorter range, so yeah. It kinda sucks that I have to reuse footage that I already kinda... It was actually part of one of the first matches I put into the video, but this is actually probably one of my best matches ever with 1x4. And it really like emphasizes like what I'm trying to explain here. You know, like every single thing that I explained in this video, I did it. I did it in that one match, and I love it. So I just hope you can sit back and enjoy this match. Hopefully, like learn something from it. So yeah.
Sentry down!
I have made a very short animation of what happens to each survivor I kill. It sucks, but we ignore that. Yeah, I know. Very cool, right? Yeah, nah, I don't like it, to be honest. But yeah, that's what happens to each survivor that comes through my path, for real. Anyways, that was like literally just a video. I hope you learned something from this. If you didn't, then it's fine. I guess I'm just not peak enough. But hey, at least I have fun making this. This video actually took a lot less longer than I expected. I guess it was just very productive when I was making this instead of taking months to just get a few recordings. But yeah, that's about it, to be honest. But until I post my next video,
I'll be seeing you